All my parents fortune seekers. Am I a bounty? Am I black teeth? Am I someone without identity? Hello everyone, my name is Bangudi and today I will explain how it is to live as a son of migrants. I was born in a city called Sneek, which is in Friesland, and 3 months later I moved to a village called Elst, which is in Gelderland. It's over there where I spent the most time of my life, before moving to Tilburg and later the Hague. My parents are from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Congo is a country in Central Africa, and it has a bloody history. They were colonized by Belgium, and finally in 1960 they gained their independence. 11 years later, Congo got renamed into Zaire. At that time, Congo had a dictator as their head of state. His name was Mobutu. He ruled for 32 years over the Congo. It was in this time that my parents came to the Netherlands. People often tend to say that foreigners are fortune seekers, but that's not always true. When my parents came to the Netherlands, they thought that their stay in the Netherlands would be temporary. They thought that they would return after the fall of Mobutu's regime, and that the country would flourish again, become great again. But sadly, the dream didn't come true. In 1997, Mobutu's regime fell, and Zaire got renamed into Congo, but the situation would only become worse. At the same time, my parents discovered that their qualifications didn't have any value here in the Netherlands. It was a huge blow for my dad, who used to work as a math teacher in Congo. Also for my mom, who used to work as an accountant in Congo. They had to take jobs who were below their qualifications. At the same time, there was also pressure from their family in Congo. You must understand that African people often live in solidarity. They live like a community and not individually like we here in the West. So when there's, for example, a funeral, a wedding, or if someone in the family needs medical treatment, they often send money back. But for me as a child, it was a little bit confusing because there will be days that we didn't have anything at home or barely something. And me asking to my dad, but why are you sending money to Congo? We don't have anything at home. Son, if you will become a bit older, you will understand. And sometimes I will witness that my parents will be kind of disappointed due to the reaction of some family members, because they will say, oh, the money you sent, it was not enough. You are doing nothing in Europe, you failed. And it hurts because my parents used to work like dogs and they would witness racism. Also at the same time, family members would say, did you see a case? He sent 6 cars, he made a school, he is helping with the development of our country, and you're doing nothing. So yeah, it was really sad. Talking about cars, like I said in the beginning, I grew up in Elst, and in this village, at that time there were only 3 or 4 families of colors. There were also Moluccans from Indonesia, but they had their own special culture. I was enjoying my time at school, had many friends, but I was a bit ashamed of my dad because all my classmates, their parents, they had new cars. They had Opel, the new Citroën, Mercedes, BMW, and my dad would take me to school with Hyundai, Daewoo, Fiat Panda, because we were changing every 2 years from cars because it would often die, you know, the situation in second-hand cars. So yeah, I was ashamed of it, and also my classmates, they had often new toys from the bar Smith, Int toys, and me, I had to do it toys from the thrift store, or I had to wait for Queen Day, because back at that time the Netherlands had a queen, Beatrix. So it was really complicated. Sometimes my dad would buy Also toys from the intertoys, but not always because it was too expensive. Anyway, I had a great time at school, but I was a bit irritated by the way the parents of my friends would ask me how the situation in Africa was, but I didn't know. I never lived in Africa. At that time, I didn't speak my native language, and I didn't know anything about Africa. And they would also ask me questions like, would you not like to become white? And in the beginning, I was not really paying attention to it, but with the years going on, I started to become hurt of it. I also noticed that it was me often who was playing at their house and them not in my house. And on rare occasions, they were coming to to my house, but when my mom would offer them food or drinks, they were always refusing. And I was asking as a child questions to myself like, am I cool enough? Are they afraid of me, or what's happening? And later on, a friend of mine explained to me that his mom said to them, don't eat anything for them because they are Africans. And it hurt me a lot. Like I said, my parents used to work like dogs, like a lot. And because of that, I had to go to the daycare. And the daycare where I was going was named the Elmo Bende. But I had only 3 friends over there. A classmate and 2 others from other schools, but the rest was really hating me. They were calling me Black Pete, they were calling me Neger, which is the N-word in Dutch, a monkey, aap is monkey in Dutch. They were spitting on me, they were kicking me, and if I would say to the child care worker, she would say, just say that to them to stop, but if I would say stop, they would go further, and I started to doubt about myself, and I was seeing myself as ugly, and it was a hard time. But after 4 years, I left. I went to another daycare called the Micmac, and there everything was okay. Yeah. So, if you live abroad, you often tend to look to search people who are like you, and that was the same thing that my parents were doing. But I discovered when I was a child that there was some friction within the community. This was because there are people with different backgrounds, some coming from rich families, others coming from poor families, some coming from normal families like my parents. And you will see that there was some competition going on, and them also involving children. So if, for example, someone from an educated family would fail at school, that child would become the monkey of a lot of people within the community. And I was also a victim of it when I became a teenager. And sometimes I wonder if this is not the reason why youngsters from the Congolese community are often divided when they try to start something up. So when I became a teenager, I started to look for my identity. Why? Because when I went to the secondary school, I was again victim of racism, and students of the second year, they would often say to me, go back to your own country, and they will put pictures of monkeys at my locker, and that's why I decided to know more about my background and my culture. And when I went to Congo for the first time, it was a great experience, but I felt that I was at home, but not really. People would point me the finger like, he's from Europe. And I was asking myself, is this really home? What is home? But people would still say like, oh, you're from the generation that will develop our country and stuff like that. So, so yeah, with all this, I wanted to say that we should be aware about the stories around us and take small steps to a more inclusive world. Let's embrace each other, have some more empathy, and have open conversations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alvin. Please stay with me for a little. Yeah, that was a very interesting story. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but also painful and tragic in ways. Why did you want to come on here today and share a very personal story?
Well, I wanted to show the point of view from migrants, because often we only see the point of view of native people. Mm-hmm. So with my story, I want to create some more understanding.
Mm-hmm. Do you wish people would have asked you more in the past about how you felt and how you've experienced growing up in a white environment?
Yeah, because I was often broken and I felt often misunderstood because I didn't say the whole story. Like my parents have a different culture, and if I would, for example, come with my girlfriend at home, they would say, "Oh no, she can't sleep over here because it's not our culture," and I could also not openly say what I was thinking to my parents and my uncle, for example, because if you do that in the Congolese culture, you will be seen as rude.
I see. So then being raised in Dutch culture, which is very direct, we all just kind of say what we think, what we feel, even if no one is asking. I'm also guilty of that. How do you sort of figure out how to behave if you're in a way being taught two cultures at once?
Yes, but that was years later when I became 16, 17 years old.
Yes, I see. So you've mentioned in your talk that there was a lot of shame. And at some point in your life, did that shame make place for pride? Pride of about your culture, about you as a person?
Only when I came to the secondary school, because I also didn't know that, because I was often physically attacked at school, and there was a time that I wasn't coming anymore. But if you don't come anymore, they will call your parents. So I had to come, and I would say to the deacon. They didn't do anything, so it was really painful.
That must have been very lonely.
Yeah, because I didn't have any friends, and I started to doubt about myself, and I was also thinking about suicide. Since that I grew up in a Christian family, I didn't do that I really became depressive. And in the Congolese culture, you can't go to the
psychologist.
Because then you will be seen as crazy, and people will mock about you and that you are weak because you are a man, so you have to be strong.
Wow. Are there any questions in the audience for Alan? Yes, I'm going to go up there, and we're going to run back down.
I have a question. It seems like you've been through a lot, and it usually takes a toll on your mental health when you've experienced such horrible things as a child. So I'm wondering if there are any things you do now as an adult to take care of your mental health after the harassment you've been through.
Beautiful question. This is me running, by the way.
Just playing music and not thinking about it, or doing spoken word, because I'm also a spoken word artist.
Spoken word?
Yeah. So it's not easy, because sometimes there are, for example, problems I get flashbacks. So then sometimes I cry.
And that's all completely fine.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for that answer. Is there any last question for Alan? No? Okay. I want to thank you so much for opening up. That was very vulnerable and very brave of you. So one last applause for Alan.